Good day, Harlequin here. Welcome to Rising Phoenix Labs, where we endeavor to dissect and analyze different character gimmicks and how to counter them. Today, or this week, our subject will be Bryan Fury. He has a very similar energy to Law in that he's hyper-aggressive and he has a lot of powerful strings, and he also has a lot of moves that can go into counter-hit state or put you in counter-hit state, so he can be quite difficult to deal with. But similar with Law, once you break down his major tools, things start to get a little bit easier, so we're going to do that today. So firstly we have Bryan's Orbital, which is up forward 4. It's quite a strong move. It hits mid and it also crushes lows, so basically if you're a character who likes to spam a lot of lows, then this move is going to be a bit of a problem for you. It's also a launcher, so they'll be able to get a full combo off of that as well. Sometimes they'll just throw it out in a match, sometimes they'll do it as part of like a string or a flowchart, etc. So if they're just throwing it out randomly, it's very difficult to react to. But this is a type of move that if you're able to recognize that your opponent is engaging in some sort of repeatable pattern over several rounds, and you know, okay, there's an orbital coming now, then you can, there are ways you can deal with it. If you're playing Xiao Yu, you can AOP out of it if you want, like so. Or you can also, if you're standing close to him, you can float because you see he's jumping, so if you jab him out of it, you'll float him for a combo. So let me try and float him now. Like that. So it's a little bit dangerous for him just to be spamming it, for example, if you know it's coming, because you can just float him out of it. Also, you can sidestep it because it's very linear, but that's only if you know it's coming, because Bryan has a lot of tools which he can use to catch you if you're sidestepping. For example, 1+2 is a very good one. So you need to be careful about just trying to sidestep everything, but that's the gist of it anyway. So if you see it coming, for example, they may decide to set it up maybe with like a kick or something. So if you know, okay, he does a low kick and then he does orbital usually, so if that's the case, then you can try and react that way. So you see the kick and then you sidestep because you know the orbital's coming. That's if the player has a pattern. They don't always do, sometimes they'll just throw it out, but if you see them spamming it, then you can be prepared for it. Next up we have Bryan's sweep, which is called Snake Edge, and it's done by doing down forward 3, like so. So again, it's a typical sweep move, very slow, very strong, but also launches. But again, if you block it, you're able to get a lot of frames on him. So on block it's -26. So same with Law's down back 4. You need to do your strongest launcher either from standing or from crouch in order to punish it fully, because you have to be able, it's extremely important that you're able to react, block and punish this move, because a lot of Bryans will spam this a lot. I would say it's probably more spammed than Dragon's Tail, but that's just my opinion. I see Bryans do this a lot in a match. So you basically just block and punish. It's quite slow, so you can block it on reaction, but in an online situation there will be lag, so it will be more difficult. But if you keep practicing it, then it will become easier over time. Okay, for our first test we're going to see how many snake edges we can block. Maybe let's try and do 5. maybe 5 on just without lag, and then 5 with lag, and we'll see how that goes. So we'll do the snake edge, and we'll mix that up with up forward 4 as well, because that's mid, so if I mess it up and I crouch, I'll get hit by that. And we'll also do 1+2 as well, because it's a spinning move. The animation is sort of similar to the sweep, so you have to be careful not to make a mistake and try and crouch whilst he's doing this. You want to block this one. So I'll add that in just to make things a little bit more difficult. So let's see how that goes. Let me just reset. So first we'll do without lag. So we're at 5 bar here. I can't remember, is that 5? I'll keep going. Okay, now let's do it with some lag. Much harder, but still doable. This is a lot. He's spamming as well. Okay, the next move that I see a lot of Bryan's use is his while standing 3-4. This move, it hits mid-mid, and it's also quite unusually fast for a while standing. Well, not unusually, but it's pretty fast. It's 13 frames, so it's pretty quick, and it also knocks down on counter hit. So if you're in counter hit state, it'll knock down. I'm not sure if you can get a combo off it, potentially, but it does change property on the counter hit, so it can be a bit of a bother. Most Bryans will try and set this up with something, so they might do, for example, down 1, the special mid, into while standing 3-4 to try and catch you out. Because what they're looking for is the counter hit. So they might do this, and then you think it's your turn, but it's actually while standing 3-4. Or they might do down back 3, this quick low. That also goes into while standing, so they'll do that and then that to try and get the counter hit on you and get some free damage. So let me see how effective this counter hit situation is. So I get hit by the low, I want to punish it, or I think, oh, okay, it's my turn, that was safe, let me try and do something, but no, I'm going to get counter hit launched because it's such a quick move that even though the frames on hit for the low isn't that much, I believe it's, let me see. So the frames for the hit is they're only at plus. Or even they're on the Bryan is actually in minus frames. He's -1 on hit, so it's really bad low. But because the hitbox of the while standing move is so good, and because it's so quick, it just turns into like a frame trap situation. And if you press anything, you'll just get counter hit launched. So that's why a lot of Bryans like to spam that move. If you want to get around it, this move is punishable. It is -10 on block. So you can punish it with a 10 frame punish. So you can do shall use 1 down 2 or 1 down 2 into rain dance if you like, if you want to mix them up, like so. Or you can do 1 2. I wouldn't recommend doing 1 2 strings in general, just because they're high, and if the opponent sees that coming, then they might decide to duck it. So if your character has a 10 hit punisher that has a mid loaded onto it as well, I would recommend that, to be honest. So you block the while standing move and then punish. Next up we have full crouch down forward 4. Oh, I didn't record it properly. So basically, when Bryan's in full crouch, he can do down forward 4 to do this kick. And again, this is another very strong mid. It comes out pretty quick. It also screws on counter hit. So if I just set this up. So it was screw on counter hit. So it's a move that the Bryan is going to want to spam a lot. So similar to the other situation, they'll probably set it up with something in order to bait you into the counter hit. This is Bryan's sort of typical strategy. So he may do down 1 because it's so quick and easy to do. Down 1 into the down forward 4 to try and get the counter hit. Or let me just record one whilst I'm talking. And then we'll do, or they might do the low. It's just so easy to do. It crushes highs as well, so they might do that into the down forward 4. So we'll just do that one as well, just to demonstrate the counter hit potential of it, like so. So you have to be careful with Bryan whilst he's crouching, basically. This move though, the down forward 4 and full crouch, it is punishable, but only barely. Similar to the other one, it's -10, so you have to punish it with a jab, but you have to be careful about that because, like I said, don't do 1 2 because they might crouch it potentially. Well, if they probably wouldn't if it's a punish, to be honest, but I would just be careful in general about spamming 1 2 too much. So basically just use a 10 frame punisher to punish this move. Nice and simple. Alright, next up we have Bryan's forward 4. It's another very spammable move. It screws on counter hit as well, so it's quite an annoyance. To be honest, so they can basically just get free damage just by spamming it. It also tracks, so you can't sidestep it. It's just very, very good, to be honest. This move, it does hit high though, so you could potentially crouch it or low stance out of it, but to be honest, it comes out so quick that you're unlikely to be able to do something like that just out of nowhere. If say, for example, like the up forward 4 situation, if they're doing it from a pattern, so say they always do like down forward 1 and then this move, then potentially you could react to it. So say they're like, oh, I like doing this and then this, then you can say, okay, he likes doing that move, so then I know that's coming, so that I can react to it. But that doesn't happen a lot. Usually they'll just throw it out just because it's more effective to do it that way, just to throw it out randomly. So in terms of punishment, because this move forces crouch, it sort of limits your options. Typically from crouch you would do your ordinary 13 frame punishes, your 11 frame punishes, but even an 11 frame like shall use while standing 4 won't be quick enough to punish this because it's only -10. So the only thing you can do from crouch that's 10 frames is the down 1. Which is really abysmal damage and very short range, but you are close enough to connect it, so it's something, and it does give you access to your own while standing or full crouch mix-ups. So there is the potential for you to mount a counter attack, so there is that at least, but in terms of punishment, just be aware that's the only thing basically that you can do. Alright, it's time for our next test. So it's important in a match to use the correct punish for the move, because you want to put out as much damage as you can in a match, obviously to help you win the match. So in this test we'll be trying to make sure we're using the correct punish for each move. So as we previously discussed, while standing 3-4 is -10, full crouch down forward 4 is -10, forward 4 is -10, but that can only be punished with down 1. And then another move we'll do to mix it up is down 3 + 4 2, which is this low mid string, which some Bryans like to spam as well. This is -12, so we want to use a different punish for that. For example, for Xiaoyu you would do forward 1 + 2, that's her 12 frame, to punish that. So I don't really want to punish that low mid string with a 10 frame punish. You know, any punish is good, is better than nothing, but we want to maximize damage. And if you're at a situation, for example, where you're at the wall, you don't really want to do a jab. You want to do this so you can get a screw, or so you can get wall splat and get wall damage. So let's try and use the correct punish for each situation. Next we have one of Bryan's frame traps, so that would be back 1. So this move has an integrated stun, so you see, notice how Xiaoyu is kind of swaying backwards. That indicates that she's stunned. So I'm blocking this, but it's actually +4 for Bryan on block, meaning he's recovered quicker than it takes for me to recover from the stun, meaning that he's in an excellent position to follow up with moves that can initiate a counter hit. So they may decide to do, say for example, they might do back 1 into magic 4 to get the counter hit launch off that. Let me just take that one off. Like this. Because the magic 4 is so quick, it's extremely easy to get the counter hit after that move. It's almost guaranteed. But if you do know that they do like to use magic 4, you can duck it because it's a high. So that's one way to get around it. But they could also do, for example, they could also do, to mix it up, say they notice that you're ducking the magic 4, they'll be like, okay, then you're ducking magic 4, let me just do this instead. So they might do 1 + 2, and on counter hit that will cause your character to spin around to the back, so you have to be careful about that. You can jab them out of it though, like this. So that's the counter hit situation that they might be looking for. But as you can see, there is ways around it. You can jab them out of that. Certain moves won't work. If you try and jump, you'll get floated. If you jab, you can crush it. If you if you do a quick low, but it's a bit inconsistent. So they're more likely to do the magic 4 or something else that's very quick to get the counter hit. So you have to be careful about that. In terms of dealing with it, similar to the other frame trap situations, what you want to do is avoid punishing the back 1. You don't want to punish that because something else will be coming after it. Okay, so just respect it, block that, and then react to what comes next. So if they see that you're blocking the follow-up attacks, so this for example is safe on block, so you can't really punish that either. Same with this, that's safe but you can duck it. But if they notice that you've become defensive, they may start spamming this, and then it leads you vulnerable to their 50-50 mix-up attacks. So let me just try and reset this first. So say they see you blocking a lot because you don't want to get hit by the counter hit moves after this, so they may decide, oh, okay, then I'll just snake edge you, or I'll just do this to try and get counter hit, try and get the counter hit launch instead. So you just have to be careful. So you have to try and react to what comes next. Okay, next we have quarter circle back 3, which is this move here. And in case you're wondering, it's done by doing down, down, back, back, and then 3, and it leads into this low kick, which will knock down on counter hit. So it's an okay pressuring tool if you're looking for that extra damage. The problem is though, the input for it is quite tricky for beginner players. So certain players in online won't necessarily be doing that move a lot, but what they might do instead is a variant from the string. So you can do down 1+2, and then you can do 3 after that, and so it's got the kick built in. So it's an easy way to do it. So down 1+2 and then 3. So sort of less experienced Bryans will probably do this instead because it's easier. But the only problem is, because it's in a string, you now know it's coming. So you can low parry that, or you can block it. If you block it, it's -13. So I'll just set this up. So you can punish that with a 13 frame while standing punish, like so. Or if you like, you can low parry it as well.